Even though we are still being preempted in 60 American cities, on Tuesday, we had our second highest rated show in almost 23 years on the air. Our monologue from Tuesday night has more than 21 million views just on YouTube alone. And I want to say, we couldn't have done it without you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. We got the Trump bump, and we appreciate it.
Lawmakers are now up against the clock to avoid a government shutdown. And just this morning, President Trump said on social media he won't meet with Democratic leaders to discuss their requests for a spending bill. And now sources tell NBC News Republican leaders urged the president to cancel that meeting. What more are we learning about all this? And is a shutdown now imminent at this point?
Well, it certainly is an ominous sign for government funding. This is just the latest twist in what has been an ongoing saga for a potential government shutdown next week. For some backstory here, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, had requested a meeting with Trump after they voted against a GOP plan last week to fund the government. Trump initially agreed to that meeting. And in fact, they'd even set up the tentative meeting to take place this Thursday. But then last night, we're told that Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune hopped on a phone call with President Trump where they urged him to call off the meeting. Sources told me and my colleague Julie Sirkin. And their reasoning essentially was Republicans have all the leverage right now. Democrats already made their demands. And at least at this stage, Republicans have no interest in negotiating on those demands. Essentially, they want to keep the pressure squarely on Senate Democrats. So Trump seemed to hear their advice, and he decided to go ahead and cancel the meeting this morning, which, of course, has prompted some outcry from those Democratic leaders. Schumer put out a statement saying Trump is going to own the government shutdown if it happens. And Jeffries made a taco reference. Trump always chickens out. So that's where we're at with less than a week to go before government funding runs out. Both sides appear to be dug in. They're in a very high stakes game of chicken. And if someone doesn't blink, the government is going to shut down next week, Anna.
Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! ¡Es ahí! ¡Con la recompensa! ¡Ayuda! 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 Help me! Help me! Help me! ¡Ayuda! Help me! Help me! ¡Ayúdame! ¡Ayúdame! Help me! Help me! ¡Ayuda! 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 Help me! Help me! ¡Ayuda! Hey, look at the motherfuckers! How's the other man right there? ¡Ayúdame! They're trying to kill me! ¡Ayúdame! ¡Ayúdame! That's how they treat old people! Why? Why papers? Why? Why? You trying to kill me? ¡Ay, American! ¡Ay, American!
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to kill me?
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to shoot at me?
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to shoot at me?
You're gonna shoot at me? Point the gun. We have it.
Yeah, see how you trying to point the gun at me?
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to shoot me? Go ahead, shoot me. Shoot me.
Put the gun down.
Why you trying to shoot me?
What's your name?
Yeah. See how you put
What's your name?
Any Republicans in here, just know I've been voting blue most of my life, and I fucked up. I fucked up. I know that now. 44, I look back, I'm like, why did I do? I grew up in South Carolina, red state, grew up Republican, was raised Christian, could have stayed in that pocket, you know what I mean? And I fucked up. I got older, I developed empathy and compassion. And I didn't do it right. And I just fucking I don't know. I see a homeless person, my heart shatters. And it's like, fuck, I want to be like you guys. You know what I mean? You see a homeless person, like, get the fuck out of my way. Get out of my way, I gotta get to church. Get out of my way. It's your fault. It's your fault. I want to yell stuff like it's your fault. But I never do.
So, Miss Gosgraves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent. So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
So I got a question for anybody who voted for Donald Trump. You know he's on the list now, right? We know, and we know that you know, and you know, we know, you know, right? You do know that this is absolutely 100% proof positive that he's on the list. First, the list was passed out in little binders to MAGA influencers. Then it was on Pam Bondi's desk. Then it was coming in 2 weeks, and now it doesn't exist. And oh, by the way, the very poorly, shittily edited video where 1 minute just disappeared at the exact moment that Jeffrey Epstein got suicided. You do know this is Donald Trump, right? Dan Bongino is now quitting. He was never qualified for the job, but he's quitting over it. Kash Patel looks like he's quitting over it. And this fake outrage against Pam Bondi. Look, I hate Pam Bondi as much as the next guy, but quit acting like this wasn't Donald Trump's call, because this was Donald Trump's call. Why was it Donald Trump's call? He's on the list, and you know that we know that you know he's on the list. And you said that this list needs to come out and everybody on it should be prosecuted and held to the highest extent of law, and I agree with you. Anybody who's involved in something as egregious as what Epstein was doing, I won't say it on this video to save my account from getting the hammer, but you know what it is, and anybody involved in that needs to be held to the highest extent of the law, and it's your guy. He's made it abundantly clear it's your guy. So now's your chance to stand on business. What you gonna do, MAGA?
Gavin Newsom is posting all the homicide rates in all these red states, and the Republicans are not happy about it. Texas' homicide rate is 140% higher than California. Oklahoma's homicide rate is 150% higher than California. Arkansas's homicide rate is 220% higher than California. Louisiana's homicide rate is 380% higher than California. South Carolina's homicide rate is 220% higher than California. Alaska's homicide rate is 170% higher than California. Missouri's homicide rate is 200% higher than California. Tennessee's homicide rate is 220% higher than California. Alabama's homicide rate is 290% higher than California. Mississippi's homicide rate is 380% higher than California. And you might be asking, why am I just calling off all of these numbers in these states? Because Donald Trump is still choosing to send the National Guard to all these other cities and states that are Democratic, instead of focusing on what's the real issue. I have looked up all these numbers, and what Gavin Newsom posted, it's all true. This is just showing hypocrisy in the Trump administration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to this cruel and callous amendment. There are 20 days until the government shuts down, 8 legislative days. And what are Republicans focused on? Flags, pride flags. Republicans are spending valuable floor time that could be used by the government to lower costs for working families.
The gentlelady will suspend. Does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition? For what purpose?
To identify the fact that that flag violates our House rules by flying any other flag but the American flag.
The chair will remind members, Speaker's announced policy prohibits flag waving on the floor.
I am not waving it, Mr. Speaker.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, simply not waving the flag, but presenting it.
Time that could be.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Could be used to fund the government or lower costs for working families. Trying to ban the display of pride flags in any workplace or common area at the Department of Defense. This obsession with attacking, dehumanizing, and villainizing our LGBTQIA+ community is as sick as it is a waste of time. Trump is using the same tired playbook authoritarian regimes have used throughout history. He is dehumanizing our most vulnerable to divide us and distract us from the fact that his failure to meaningfully improve the lives of the people he was elected to serve. We see this for what it is, and we refuse to let them win. We will not erase the LGBTQIA community.
2025 is the MAGA Republican playbook to go around the Constitution, the Congress, and the courts to take total control of our government, using it to enforce their ideology on our lives. The thing is, it's eminently doable. They've been planning this for years, and we'll be ready to go on day one should Donald Trump be elected. Let's look a little deeper at a section that's been overlooked in the media. Their plan to radically remake our military. If one were to write a credible roadmap to transform our democracy into a dictatorship, this is what it would look like. And a big part of that is to turn the most effective, professional, and nonpartisan fighting machine that the world has ever seen into Trump's MAGA military force. Ready, willing, and able to deploy against our fellow citizens should Trump issue an illegal order. It achieves this goal in 4 steps. First, it corruptly uses the power of the presidency to fire flag officers, generals, admirals, and so on, who they deem not sufficiently loyal to Trump. Second, it stops promoting anyone in the military who doesn't pledge allegiance to their agenda. Third, it obliterates military readiness programs that ensure our diverse forces know how to work together. Fourth, it actively recruits troops who may have been targeted for radicalization by white supremacists. And then, it enables the use of the Insurrection Act to deploy the military inside the country against political opponents, protesters, or just about anyone Donald Trump juices.
Okay, folks, next week our country changes forever, and I need you to be prepared for it. No violence, no violence. That would be the worst possible thing you could do. It would play right into their hands. And don't panic. Don't panic. I'll tell you why. So, Texas Paul, hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. Yeah, this is the end of September, and next week they're about to decapitate the military. Pete Hegseth has called a meeting of well over 100 of our top generals. That give you an idea. I think there's only like 475 top generals and admirals, not top, but total generals and admirals. I think there's like 475. He's called a meeting of over 100 of them. They're going to decapitate the military next week. That's what's going on. They've been moving towards that. The plans that they've been putting together, they've been calling a consolidation of leadership. And this is the Nazi playbook. They already did it with ICE. They did it with ICE. The $100 million they put into ICE was exactly the Nazi playbook. They went out and recruited out of the militias, and that's why they wear the masks, so you can't identify where they got these people from. Now the next step is decapitate the military and create super generals. These are generals that they're going to have basically ad campaigns for. They're going to get the nationalists behind them, the rah nationalists behind these generals to make superstars out of them, because they're sycophants that they can control, that will do anything that they're told. This will be the end of your country as you know it, but I need you to not panic, and this is why. You can stop this. You may not be able to stop these generals from being fired and removed, but you can stop this entire thing. A country of 330 million people that will not be governed cannot be governed. It's that simple. It's that simple. Protest, fight, boycott, fight economically. Close your wallet and sit your ass down. Folks, a bunch of unarmed Indians ran the most powerful empire at the time, the British, out of India by simply sitting their asses down. You can do that too. You can do that too. Most of these major corporations run on loans. If you just stop spending, they fold. You understand where the power is? You have the power. Use it, and use it wisely. Any violence plays into their hands.
Living
ask all of these leaders for a pledge of loyalty to Donald Trump instead of the Constitution. And if they don't give that pledge, he could have them fired or arrested. And when you hear that and you go like, holy shit, it's all over, they're going to take over the military. In order for me to believe that, which I don't, I would have to believe that every other leader and military person underneath them was going to just roll over if their leaders got arrested or fired. And that's not the case. Because let me be clear about this. Our entire military, especially the officers, especially the leaders from top to bottom, are trained in military history and are trained in the UCMJ, are trained in the Constitution. And the higher up they go, the better off they're trained. And they are trained against enemies foreign and domestic. And if you don't think in the back of their minds that they have thought about this or this coming down the pipe in some way, you would be wrong.
I can videotape. I'm a combat vet. No, I'm a combat vet. Are you the work? Adios. 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 Come on, man.
How do you feel about the United States of America right now?
Well, I love the country and I want to protect it from what's happening right now at some levels. Mm-hmm.
And what specific things would you like to protect it from?
The rights of immigrants, which have made a tremendous contribution to this country.
He has a hat that he's been wearing in the last week or so, which was Trump was right about everything.
So that's just like wearing a hat that says, I was right about everything.
That's right. That's right.
Is that a normal thing for people to do?
No, it's not. And the leaders, the true leaders, have humility.
They're all deranged white liberals, and I'm a Trump supporter. Make America great again.
And do you think America is going great?
Absolutely. 100%.
In what way?
Economy, employment, the border's closed, Biden's out of office, Democrat Party's dead.
There you have it. It was right about one thing: the Democratic Party is dead.
We need more heroes, the hero being the sandwich.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either.
Hey, it's Pete. I'm on the road again. I want to take a minute to be very clear about what is happening with this Comey indictment. The president has taken federal law enforcement, whose real job is to protect our families and communities from criminals, predators, and terrorists, and instead he's redirected them to do his bidding in an act of personal revenge.
It has become incredible.
So, Ryan, you just mentioned online that you're going to work for this non-teachers union. What do you want to say to Oklahomans who might feel like you're bailing out on them? Can you tell us when you're stepping down and when this job is coming to a close for you? We have to ask when this relationship started, because it seems like you've been pushing kind of this job for some time now. Did it interfere with your job for Oklahoma?
What a massive move to the left, to the Democratic side we're talking about here. My goodness gracious. All right, we look at the 7th district. Kamala Harris won it by 22 points. Look at Grijalva's margin at this particular point with 87% of the estimated vote in. Look at that, 39 points. That is a 17-point over performance. And of course, this goes with what we were talking about last week, which is Democrats doing much better than they were doing in Latino districts. A lot of Latinos live in Arizona's 7th district, and not surprisingly, Grijalva doing 17 points better than Kamala Harris did back just a little less than a year ago.
Does this fit a pattern of what you have been seeing this year?
Yeah, okay, so you see this, you see 39, 22, 17-point overperformance. It ain't alone, baby. It ain't alone. Look at the average 2025 special House elections so far. Democrats are doing, on average, get this, 18 points better than Kamala Harris did back in 2024. So the 17-point overperformance last night matches the average that we see, the 18-point overperformance that Democrats have had in U.S. House elections. Again, this is one of the best signs that Democrats have had so far. When people vote, Democrats are doing significantly better than they did just a little bit less than a year ago.
Can you look at this and sort of extrapolate what might happen in 2026? I mean, vaguely.
Yeah, okay. There's a reason why we're doing this segment. It's not just because I'm interested in numbers and like elections. It's because this could potentially really matter. What are we talking about here? Okay, special elections and midterm results. Look, there's a lot of font on your screen here, but what it says is if a party outperforms in special elections going all the way back since the 05-06 cycle, they go on to win the U.S. House of Representatives 5 out of 5 times. We'll see if it becomes 6 out of 6, but the bottom line is history says that the Democrats outperforming just like they did last night in Arizona's 7th district. The presidential baseline is a very, very good sign as these districts move very much to the left.
All right, Harry Enton, thank you so much.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John. Hello. Testing. Uh-oh. Hello? Test, test, test. Hello. Okay. Testing. Seems like I'm coming through loud and clear. I just didn't hear it on the phone volume, which is odd because I heard everything else on the intro. Anyhow, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Here we are. It's 11:38 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. In beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, it's currently 85 degrees. We're only going to get a high of 88 today. Almost about a 10-degree drop from yesterday's high, so that'll be nice. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I do appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the intro. I know I did. And I thought I would leave you with a little bit of hope, I guess, with that the very last clip there about the Democrats winning elections or at an 18% higher margin than a year ago. I guess that's what he said. But anyhow, it looked hopeful and promising. And I'm like someone said, I don't know if it was Hal or Texas Paul or whoever, but you know what? I'm not giving up my right to vote. And I don't think hundreds of millions of other Americans are either. I don't think we're going to, because people always say, well, if they let us vote. Well, no, they don't let us vote. We are going to vote. You want to see all hell break loose, just take away our vote. Anyhow, I can't scroll back to the beginning of the chat. I did see, I think, Sandy Foltz very, very early. Very, very early. So early that I think it fell off, that post. And then I think it was Lynn, and then Jen up the base. Something like that. But anyhow, I'm just going to pick up where I am able to pick up at, and I just see Aaron West is here. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for modding, helping me out with the mod duties. Roxanne 79. So here's where we're picking up on, in case you're interested in where I'm at in the chat. Roxanne 79 says, I've been in like a sleepy haze all day. I've taken 2 little cat naps. Today can't seem to wake up. So sorry if I fall asleep. Nothing personal. So that's where we're at where I'm at in the chat, just in case. And that was probably about 20 something minutes ago. Nick Rich is here. Hey, Nick, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in to the old driver's lounge. I do appreciate you. Nola Carnes is here. Hey, Nola. Always good to see Nola. Whenever I see your name, I always think of New Orleans. Nolans. Yeah, here's Nick Rich with the timestamp 11:16. I think I'm 25 minutes or something. I don't know, behind. Alvin Stube is here. Hey, Alvin, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I do appreciate you. AM's here. Still looking for FM? And I know I say that little joke every single time. Jolie's here. Jolie was probably here, but like I said, I'm starting a little bit down in the chat. So we got Jolie and Aaron. So we are at, what are we at? Full mod capacity. Sandy Foltz, there's Sandy Foltz in the chat, in the driver's lounge. Hey, another thing I always say when I see John Glad is, I'm glad to see John Glad in the chat. Thank you, John, for being here. Let me scroll down a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's scroll on down and try to get caught up a little closer, anyhow. Looks like Paul Burrows is here. Hey, Paul. From up there in Idaho. Up there in the panhandle, I think, of Idaho. Thanks for being here. Damon Dog, the big dog's here. Hey, I saw Damon Dog did a little live stream yesterday. So be on the lookout for that. We might see some more. Damon Dog dipping his toe into the live stream world. So that was cool to see Damon on that. On YouTube, doing that. Let's see, I'm scrolling down. Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Welcome to the driver's lounge. Pull up a seat. Grab some virtual coffee and a virtual bagel. Put some virtual cream cheese on it. And, hang out for a bit. Just come on in and hang out. Hey, look at there. Fancy with a $5 super chat. Yippee, Fancy. Thank you so much. It says, from Nick Rich, the hero. Nick Rich is a hero. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I'm just going to roll with it. But thank you, Fancy, helping out the show, helping support the show. I always appreciate that. I appreciate everything you guys do, liking, subscribing, and sharing. Now, right now, I do have some bad news. We are operating like Republicans a bit. Although not the worst Republicans, because we're at a slight deficit in our thumbs ups. So we should act more like good Democrats and get to at least a balanced budget and hopefully maybe a surplus. Mr. Spock is here. Live long and prosper. Mr. Spock says, fascinating. It's TJ. That is fascinating. I guess. I don't know. Let me just scroll. I'm scrolling on down. Squirrel Girl's here. Hey, Squirrel Girl. Hello, Squirrel Girl. Good to see you in the chat today. I don't know why I'm going all British on you. Everyone's going, was that that was British? Is that what that was? Nick Rich, 11:38. I'm only like 7 minutes behind. I did a lot of scrolling. Nick Rich, the intro was over 20 minutes. They're usually around 20, between 20 and 25 minutes. That's the norm. I would say, usually 22, 23 minutes is about normal. Been doing that for several months now, so you guys should be familiar with the program. Jolie says, this isn't Russia. We will always be voting. Hey, I kind of just said that in a way, kind of, sort of. I believe the American people won't stand for anything less, regardless of size. Basically, I just said the same thing, and I had not read your post, Jolie, because I hadn't been there yet. See, me and Jolie, we're like, we think alike in a lot of ways. There are some ways that we don't think alike, which is good. You don't have to be 100%, agreeable about everything, but just the major stuff. I think Jolie and I are pretty much agreeable on all the major stuff. AM says, using our birth certificates as proof of ID in order to vote will be at a great disadvantage for married women who have taken husbands' surnames. They're going to try every obstacle. We've got to just do whatever we can to overcome those obstacles. So always make sure you're registered. I always promote vote.org. Do it early and often so that you have time, hopefully, to get whatever it is you need to get. Michelle says it rained hard in Phoenix. You know what? Apparently it rained really hard here in Henderson. And because I saw, like, on the news, I saw this footage. I didn't even know it rained yesterday. I was pretty much inside all the way until I went to work. And I didn't go to work until, I think, like 4 when I left. And it's over here. There was no rain over here. And I'm like 4 miles from Henderson, if that. And I saw the news footage. It looked like it was hailing and just raining like crazy. I didn't even know. I didn't even know. I guess that's what happens when you live in a little bubble. A little bubble of this apartment. But yeah, another old schoolmate of mine, I saw, he lives up in St. George area, and he posted a bunch of rain footage. So I had rain all around me, and I didn't even know. Because when I went out to work, I didn't see. Usually, you see puddles, and I think it went right around us. I think it hit I think it came up from Phoenix. It hit Henderson, and it kind of looped around Vegas and completely missed us and went right up to St. George. Nola Karn's, I guess the name you're saying is named after a song. Because at first I was like, Sugar John, named after a song, old song. And I was trying to think, am I named after an old song? But I guess Nola is named after a song, an old song. Nola. Does it go like this? Does it go a little something like this? And Nola. Sorry. This is not a singing show. What am I doing? Damon Dog, the big dog, says, after I do a 10-day dry, I don't think I'm going to get into all the pot harvesting stuff because I just don't know anything about it. And you guys are certainly free to post it and talk about it amongst yourselves. But I'll skip that one because it's just, I don't know. Why? Now I feel like I should read it. Now I feel like I made it weird. I made it weird, didn't I? Anyhow, moving along. Damon Dog says, haha, I didn't know I was live at first. I was playing around on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Well, it was cool. I just, I was just on and I saw Damon Dog there and I was like, I gotta click on this. I gotta see what Damon Dog's up to. But yeah, you'll figure it out if you're going to do any more. You'll figure out how you want the camera and stuff like that. You should probably get a little camera stand. Like I use the it's just a ring light stand, and I don't even use the ring light. I just use the ring light for the stand part of it because it's a really nice stand. As I'm looking at it. If you see I'm going like this, I'm looking at my ring light stand. But yeah, get some sort of a camera tripod type of thing, or a camera, something to put your camera on is probably the best thing if you're going to do a live stream. And you can do vertical or horizontal. I prefer the horizontal, like I'm doing now. It gives me a little more room if I want to put in a little something like this. But a lot of people prefer the vertical because a lot of people are just watching on their phones and they're just holding their phone like this in the vertical position. So a lot of people just prefer that. So they don't want to have to turn their camera. It's really difficult apparently. But anyhow, yeah, you'll get it. You'll figure it out if you're gonna do some more. Nick Rich says I wasn't complaining about the length of the intro, but just being a time bandit. Yeah, and I hope you didn't take it that I was complaining or that I thought you were complaining, because I didn't. I just was mentioning that that's about average, 20, 25 minutes. It's about the typical. Sometimes shorter. Sometimes it's been in the teens. I don't know if I've ever gone. I know I've put a bunch of stuff in my little editing bay. Someday I will learn how to enunciate, and I'll have 35 or 40 or 45 minutes worth of stuff that I got to whittle down. I don't want to put a 45-minute intro in there. I'm trying to think if I've ever done an intro at 30 minutes. I may have done a 30-minute intro once or twice, but I'm not sure. But yeah, usually it's around between 20 and 25. I try to whittle it down to that. And we've had a few that were in the teens. MJ Daniel says operating like a Republican means waking up in the morning full of hate and contempt for anybody that does not look and act like yourself. It's kind of like, I like that. If you saw the little stand-up comedy clip I had in there, I thought that was kind of cool. It kind of funny. I mean, and the guy was kind of brilliant because I think it's brilliant the way he kind of sets the audience up. Like, oh, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done it. And then he's like, I want to be more like you. Like, and how do you yell? He yelled at the homeless person, like, get out of my way. I got to go to church. I thought that was hilarious. They're you got to go to church, and I got to hear about Jesus and about how Jesus said to love everybody and help everybody. So get the fuck out of my way. Now I added. So anyhow, that's why I put that in there. I thought it was funny and really appropriate to how some people are in this country. There's a lot of other stuff I could have put in there. There was a couple things about Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, and all this stuff that's coming out about when she was how all these things are connected. Like, I guess after she won the Miss Arizona, and then she started doing this work with a Romanian. I guess you could call it a front. I don't know, but it was supposed to be helping Romanian orphans, and then how there was all these ties to this. I guess there was a General Basher or something, and how he's tied to these military facilities, military bases in Romania and maybe other areas that were, where those local authorities in those countries were investigating and finding out about all this, like child trafficking, and sexual abuse and going on by military soldiers. And there's this whole kind of pipeline with Erica Kirk, who was then Erica something, whatever her maiden name was, and this general, and using this platform that she had. It's a whole thing. And I didn't post it because it was like a 10-minute video, and I didn't, I was thinking about cutting it down, but I didn't have time. And then also, I just figure if that shit comes out more, it'll come out more. I mean, it'll I guess, so I kind of left that one aside. But it's kind of, interesting. We were talking about Erica Kirk and all these connections with Trump. Way before she met Charlie, basically Trump set her up with Charlie. I mean, it's all this shit is connected in some way, and I guess the bottom line is that Erica Kirk might not be the squeaky clean, wholesome Christian girl she tries to present herself as. She might be involved in some pretty fucking like Jeffrey Epstein's type of shit. Allegedly, I think I have to say allegedly in here. So just keep an eye out on that shit. And speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, I hardly had anything in here about Jeffrey Epstein. I had the one thing from the Jolly Good Ginger, and that was about it. I titled today's live stream, "Don't Forget Epstein." I'm trying to find clips, and I can't. Nothing's really popping up. The distraction of the Epstein files is, I don't know if it's working, but it seems like it's working because I can't. Things aren't pop. I try to pick things that are kind of popular, the news of the day or the news, so that this is kind of like a time capsule. If you look at this, September 26th. 2025, that intro would be kind of a time capsule of what's going on, and hardly anything about the Epstein files. So I think that even if we can't find stuff, let's go ahead and put that up and just keep that in our minds. On our minds, on the top of, see, it's kind of on the top of my mind there, kind of, or at least even with my mind over here. Yeah, it's kind of even with the mind. We've got the votes now. As soon as they swear her in, the Gravalda, whatever, Gravalha. Jolie says, "Welcome to this week's edition of Pot Talk, a subject I really don't give a fuck about." Trucker John. Look, I don't want to sound like a dick. Hey, man, if someone was in here with some pot, I would fucking partake. You know me. I'm not gonna turn down some pot. I'm just not. I guess I'm just not interested in all the minutia. Interested. I need to enunciate. Please learn how to enunciate. If you're going to talk on a live stream every fucking day. Jolie says fake Christian hypocrites. MJ Daniel, Jeff Spicoli approved 420 talk. I just watched the video, on my YouTube feed, and something popped up about fast times at Ridgemont High. It turned out to be one of those kind of AI ones, but I think, like the AI, but it was actually one of the better ones. Because usually I just click on, as soon as I hear the AI narration, I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is stupid. But this was actually a pretty good one, so I watched it. And it was kind of interesting about Sean Penn and how he played the part, and he was just totally in character for the whole movie, the whole shooting of the movie. He didn't go. He just stayed in character. Can you imagine being Spicoli for like, I don't know, 3 months or however long they did that shoot? Well, for some of you, you probably are Spicoli, so you're like, "What? I don't see any problem there." But I mean, just to be in character, any character, I guess, to just stay in it 24/7. I just thought that was fascinating. I guess because I'm a wannabe actor, so I find that kind of stuff fascinating or interesting, I guess. Squirrel Girl says, bad storm in my area. Hopefully I don't lose power. That always sucks, losing power. MJ Daniel says, somebody should go to a GOP or evangelical event to hand out copies of the New Testament and asking, have you read this yet? Or something, because I do not think many of them have. I think you're right, MJ Daniel. I think you're onto something there. I think you're onto something. I kind of wish they would just do away with the Old Testament altogether. It's so boring. I hate the Old Testament. I mean, Genesis and Exodus are okay, I guess. Maybe keep those two. But after that, it gets so horribly boring. But the New Testament, it's a good read. I think New Testament's a good read. Damon Dog, the Big Dog, says it's all connected. Trump, beauty pageants, Epstein, Maxwell, Charlie Kirk, Pam Bondi, child trafficking, etc. I'm running out of red string. Oh, is that your, your board, your crime board or whatever? You know how they do in the movies. MJ Daniel, is she in the files? I don't know. I've never heard of her being in the files. I don't believe her name has ever popped up, but you never know. I guess that's why we need to have them released, so we'll know. Release the fucking files, man. Look, it says right there. Release the fucking Epstein files. Trump, Congress. Now, that jolly good ginger guy, he doesn't think it's going to even matter at this point. Like, if Trump is on the files, as far as MAGA or his supporters or even just Republicans in general, he thinks that at this point it won't even matter. They'll still support him. But I don't know. They sure do seem to really be adamant about wanting the files out, just as much as us lefties. Jolie says, or in Christian speak, have you heard the good news? And give them a copy. Oh yeah, that's right. In fact, I think I used to have a Bible. I forget it. It was a pretty thick Bible, so I'm thinking it was the whole Bible, or was it just the New Testament? But I think it was called, instead of saying like the Bible, I think it said the Good News or something. It was one of those hippy dippy editions where it was written out in perfect like modern day English, and I loved it. I love modern English as opposed to that old fogey King James bullshit. Jolie says, release the Epstein files. Absolutely. Sandy Folt says, when I first saw the post, it said I was first on the chat. No one else was on. Yeah, I know. I checked in. I check in from time to time just to see, if anything's going on, And I looked. I think it was when I got home, or it was like really like 1 in the morning for me, 1:30 in the morning, and I saw Sandy was already in there. And then this morning when I looked again, that post came off, and I don't know why. I don't take those off. I don't have, I did nothing, but maybe after a certain amount of time it just falls off. I don't know. But anyhow, It doesn't really matter if you're first or second or third or last. Just, all that matters is that you're here. So thanks for being here, Sandy, and everybody else. Hey, Michael, speaking of being here, Michael McAndrews is here. Thanks, Michael, for being here. Good to see you. Michael McAndrews says, I would not trust what they do with little girls. Yeah. DPD 5844 says that the here in Ohio, the University of Cincinnati has a chapter of Turning Point USA, but at the same time they are denouncing DEI, African women, and Spanish studies. The majority of students are POC, so people of color. So the majority of the students are people of color, but they are denouncing. By they, do you mean the school administrators, or do you mean just Turning Points USA? I guess, or do you just mean Republicans in general, like Republicans in Ohio? I'm just kind of interested. Is this something that the school is denouncing? Who's denouncing? Who's doing the denouncing specifically? But and that's another thing. Did you guys watch? Did you see the? I think it was Texas Paul. It popped up. I guess it was when he was. I think it was more Minus Touch. I think Minus Touch posted it, but it was a Texas Paul video from 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, it was pretty cool because it was pretty appropriate, where Texas Paul was totally calling out Charlie Kirk for being an asshole, and he in that video he mentioned how they've got Turning Point USA chapters, I guess they're called, all over the United States, all in the college campuses and high school. I don't know if Texas Paul said high school, but they are in some high school campuses also. So they're in high school and college by the thousands. And Texas Paul 2 years ago was calling for these chapters to be, those chapters need to be shut down because of the indoctrination that's going on. Michael McAndrews says Nazis don't like our affirmative action or our DEI. Nick Rich, nothing can distract from Epstein Gate. Michael McAndrews, what is POC? That would be people of color. Alex, I believe that would be people of color. Nick Rich, 12 noon. So I'm about 8 minutes. I'm 8 minutes behind you. MJ Daniel says Turning Point, basically the modern American version of a recruitment tool for MAGA Hitler youth. Absolutely. Well, the way I see saying people of color, that's kind of all inclusive of anyone who's not white. So it's not just black people. It could be black people. It could be, Latino people. It could be like Middle Eastern people who have, either brown skin or even an olive colored skin or whatever. It's all the people that basically the white nationalists hate. Anyone who's not, milky white or some such shit as that. Some such shit. I'm going to work on the enunciation. The enunciation game. Owen's here. Hey, Owen, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I do appreciate you. Hey, look at that. We are like really, really good Democrats right now. We are at a pretty good surplus of thumbs up. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate you. MJ and Daniel, I was a bit Spicoli, a bit Jackie Earl Haley from Bad News Bears. We were all kind of wild. You're a wild one. Squirrel Girl says I'll be back later. All right, Squirrel Girl, hope to see you later. Thanks for being here. You're probably gone already. Sandy Fold says, TJ, when you turn 65, are you going to retire? I'll be probably just working part time. What I do now with the cab driving is part time. I don't see myself going into full time work. Probably, I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully won't have to. MJ Daniel says, so woke, all that feeding the poor and welcoming the stranger crap and that liberal commie robe wearing hippie. Yep. Oh, Owen says my phone screen completely shattered in my pocket, so I can barely read the chat until I get home. Oh, Owen, that's horrible. I'm sorry that happened. DPD 5844 says, did anyone see on YouTube what Pope Leo said about the Antichrist? I'll just interject here. No, I did not. Now let's go back to the post. It says, I don't know if it was his voice or AI, but he said the Antichrist was already here. And his name is Donald Trump. No. I did not see that. Michael McAndrews says, so they don't want to release all the files? Okay, just release the Trump-y pertinent stuff. I was just thinking this morning about this, like, and kind of going with what that Jolly Good Ginger is saying, like, if MAGA would even care at this point, especially since they believe everything he says. Like right now, Trump is coming out saying the economy is great. These are the greatest numbers. He's turning the economy around. The Joe Biden economy was horrible, and now Trump is making it better, and we're in a great economy. All of that that I just said is absolutely 100% a lie. It's the exact opposite, right? But maggots believe it. They believe whatever he says. So if I was thinking, okay, so what if the Epstein files come out and Trump is all through there, and it shows him being on the plane and being whatever it shows, he's on the island, whatever they got. All Trump has to do is come out and say, "Nah, that's not true. That's fake. It's AI or whatever." Or yeah, I was on the plane. We didn't do anything. I don't know why I'm giving Trump all of a sudden the Alex Jones voice, but and they would just probably believe him. So, and the fucking Republicans in Congress, they're not going to impeach him. They're not going to go along with an impeachment. I don't think so. But I still think I'm still thinking they need to release the files, and we need to see it. All of us people that have functioning brains, we need to see it. But I just don't know if it's going to have any effect on the maggots and the Republicans in Congress. Chris Doug's here. Hey, Chris Doug, good to see you. Thank you so much. Chris Doug says, I've hiked 7 miles while listening to Hal and Rob Glenn. Showered and eaten lunch. It's time to relax and then Trucker's Lounge. Yeah, make yourself comfortable and hang out for a bit. MJ Daniel says, I still have a pocket copy of the New Testament my grandparents gave me back in the 60s when I was still in grade school. I think I have some of those in a box somewhere in storage. I'm pretty sure I have one of those too. Maybe more than one. And they were like this big, right? And I think they had different colors. I think I had an orange one. I think I remember seeing like different blue and green. They had different. The cover would be different. Would be colors. Oh, anyhow. DPD 5844. Yes, TJ. The University of Cincinnati is rolling out this protocol. So the Cincinnati The University of Cincinnati, let me get this straight, is a majority people of color, and they want to be like anti-DEI, well, and what, not have these programs that you mentioned. Is it just so they don't get on Trump's shit list, I guess? That sucks. People keep saying don't fucking give in to the bully, because you give in to him once, he's not going to go away. He's going to keep coming back because he knows he's found someone that he can get what he wants out of. Sometimes all you got to do is metaphorically punch the bully in the nose, and the bully will go away and say, okay, that was not worth it. I'll find some other weak ass over here, metaphorically speaking. Jolie says, I love Trucker John intros the way they are. Oh, I guess this is a mid-thread thing. I don't know. I guess maybe Sandy said something. I didn't see it. I didn't really see what Sandy said about the intro or whatever. But Jolie likes my intros. Thank you, Jolie. He always manages to find videos I've not seen before. Very informative. Michael McAndrews says I like John's intro videos. Thank you, Michael. Sandy Foltz says it's better to show other things instead of what's going on in the world. Show about maybe movies or footballs. Yeah, we don't want to know what's going on in the world. Who needs that? There's not enough. There just isn't enough shows about movies and footballs. Catherine Real Health Talk says, hi, everyone. Hello, Catherine. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you coming on in. Hang out with us for a little bit. DPD 5844 says Skydance Media wants to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns TNT, HBO Max, Comedy Central, CNN, and MSNBC. Let's just monopolize everything. Let's just do it. Let's go for it. Let's just have one or two people own everything, and then they can control everything. It'll make life so much easier, won't it? Just have 2 or 3 major companies, and eventually they'll all buy each other out. We'll just be down to one, and we can just have one big giant company that owns everything. And then our lives will be so much easier and simpler. Sandy Foltz, that was a good movie, Fast Times, Original High. Yeah, I haven't seen it in, probably since it came out, but I just remember liking it. And I think you know what I'm talking about. I think you know what part I'm talking about. Catherine Real Health Talk says James Comey was kind of a dope years ago, but arresting him now is absolutely nothing but retaliation. Now, if you guys have ever listened to the Randy Rhoads show, she used to really defend James Comey. And if you know Randy Rhoads, she doesn't say that kind of shit lightly. She's very well informed and very much a liberal, progressive Democrat. But I remember her defending James Comey, and we're talking about what he did a long time ago in the 2016 election, right before the election, a few weeks before, when Comey I guess released information or came out about Hillary Clinton. I want to put it exactly what it was, saying that they found things on her emails, or they were. I think he just said that they were investigating the emails, and that was enough to set everything off. But according to Randy Rhoads, it's like he was required to do that by Congress. That if any new information came up, he was to report it to them. I think he reported it to Mitch McConnell, and I think it was Mitch McConnell that leaked that. So I don't think it was. I might be screwing it up. Maybe you guys should get a hold of Randy Rhoads. I hope she's doing okay. She's going through cancer treatment, and I haven't heard anything from her for a long time. So maybe talk to Brett. I don't know. I'm sure Brett knows exactly. And by Brett, I mean Brett. That's the guy who was Randy Rhoads' kind of like producer or technical the phone guy, everything, the behind the scenes guy. Now he is on pretty much taking over her time slot. Maybe ask Brett about it. But the thing is I believe James Comey was required to report to the Senate, and at that time, Mitch McConnell, Senate leader, majority leader, and then from there, that the shit got leaked out. So I think we kind of, we hate James Comey, but I think that might be misdirected hate. It should probably be more to Mitch McConnell once again, for leaking that. I might have it mixed up. I'm sure there's someone in the chat that can school me on that. Okay, so here's Chris Doug. It says Comey's defense team are going to subpoena several people that are not going to want to be deposed or testify in open court. This case will be dropped, and that's why Comey says, "Okay, let's go to court, motherfuckers." Basically, he said that. Hey, Ivy Joe Casey's here. Hey, Ivy Joe, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the Driver's Lounge. I appreciate you. Catherine Real Health Talk says, anybody see Agent Orange wagging his finger at the wifey in the helicopter leaving the UN? I guess you're talking about Melania. Wonder what would have happened if she slapped him. They are for all intents and purposes separated. I did not see that. I have not seen that. I would like to see that. Damon Dog says, finally my truck is back. I hate it when my friend borrows it. I do love having Nexar dash cam, though. I can watch it in real time from anywhere, front and cabin. I have one of those. It's in a box, but I had the Nexar dash cam in my truck when I was driving the truck. AM says, are they voting age? DPD 5040? That's scary how they are so brainwashed. Well, even if they're not voting age, they will be voting age. If they're indoctrinating high schoolers because they know they're going to be voting age in a few years. So, and the college students are all pretty much voting age, unless it's Doogie Howser or something. Sandy Foltz says Grease was the best movie I ever saw. I also like Urban Cowboy. John Travolta was the best actor ever. Wow, Sandy with some John Travolta fanage going on there. Soulcraft. Hey, the Soulcraft is here. Soulcraft says yeah. Wipe my memories of last decade like an eternal sunshine in the spotless mind. I don't know where that came from. Michael McAndrew says I can only watch when I'm in reverse. Damon, 2019 rant. Sandy says that's why you should put your post up an hour before your show so it does not cut off. For one thing, it's no big deal if it gets cut off. At least I don't think it is. Maybe you think it is. I don't think it's a big deal, number one, if a chat disappears or something. I mean, not to demean or diminish your guys' chats. I love that you guys are in here chatting, but I'm just saying if there's one that you posted, 5 hours before the show, and it just says, "Hey, hi, I'm first." I appreciate that. I mean, I think I don't mean to put this isn't meant as a put down, but then if let's say for some reason it disappears, it's not the end of the world. And the reason that I post that the live stream is upcoming, I like to do that as early as I can so that more people will see that there's a thing. And there is a button, because a lot of times people say, I didn't get notified. I didn't know you were on. I didn't get notified. If you go when you see in YouTube, Trucker John live stream, and it says upcoming, and if you click on it, it'll open it up, and then you can hit the notify me button, and that's supposed to notify you when the thing goes live. So that's why I do that, to try to get it out there early enough so people will see it and they can hit the notify button, so that they don't always come in and say, I didn't know you were on. I'm giving people sometimes 12 hours advance notice. It should be in your feed. I can't help it if people don't know how to navigate YouTube at this point, I guess, apparently. There, I've just alienated half my audience. Michael McAndrew says slavery was good and Charles Manson was a good man. Also, Hitler was a black Jewish trans person. Are these the type of things that Trump would say and they would believe him? Is that what that was about? David Dog says, funny, I thought about a body cam for the next protest. Yeah, that would be cool. Michael McAndrew says, Trumpy is like a serial killer taunting the authorities. Yeah, because nothing's happened to him. He's got 34 felony convictions, and he's still roaming around. Never saw 1 second behind bars. So he feels pretty safe, is what I'm trying to say. That he can do and get away with anything. You know? I guess I caught up with the chat already. Sandy says Trump is making things worse. And I agree. Damon Dog says, I'm cooking shrimp egg rolls. I have to cook the filling in advance so it can cool off. Hey, Gin Up the Bass is here. Hey, Gin Up the Bass. Good to see you. Catherine, Real Health Talk asks, Dog, is your shrimp radioactive? Hopefully not. Oh yeah, so yeah, if someone blocks you, I guess it could get frustrating when you hear me read that person's posts, and then you're like, "Why am I? Where? I'm not seeing that." So I could see how that could be, a little confusing or whatever. But for the most part, if someone blocks you, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. It just, you know. Catherine says, TJ, you skipped a bunch, maybe. Well, I did skip some. Maybe I skipped too many. Should I go back? Should I roll it back? Here, I'll just show you, just to show you how I can't go all the way back. But here's how far back I can go Oh, that's quite a ways back where it says Mr. Spock, fascinating as TJ. That was quite a ways ago. Fancy was still in here. Fancy had just done the $5 super chat. By the way, we do have super chats. We have a goal. We've got 1 out of 5 so far. That's how far back I was able to scroll. Michelle says Democrats are way better than Dementia Don the Con. I don't remember reading that one before. Let's see. Yeah, there's Nola says named after a song. Mr. Spock sounded like Ferengi. I don't think I read that one before. And here's Damon's Pot Talk. Curing is usually 3 weeks or so, but I rush this grow and pack them at 2 weeks, but it normally takes about 3 weeks for the smell to come back. Maybe that's why I got to the end so fast, because I skipped over a lot of the pot talk. Here's about the rain. I think I remember all these. Yeah, there's MJ Daniel talking about passing out the Bibles, etc., etc. Here's DPD talking about University of Cincinnati, and they are denouncing DEI, African women, and Spanish studies, and the majority of the students are people of color. So there, I went over that. MJ Daniel, Turning Point, basically the modern American version of a recruitment tool. Yeah, so I already saw that. Yeah, Owen's phone, about Owen's phone. Yeah, I did that one. MJ Daniel still has a pocket copy of the New Testament. Yeah, did that. Yeah, talking about Owen's phone again. Sandy talking about movies and footballs. DPD says Skydance Media about wanting to buy this. Did you guys see the post where Elon Musk says he wants to buy CBS? And I just thought, oh my God. He wants to turn, he'll fuck CBS up just like he fucked Twitter up, you know? Now, supposedly, he has the money to do it, I think. But it's funny how a person can be said to be worth how many hundreds of billions of dollars? I don't think he's a trillionaire yet. They were saying he might become the first trillionaire. But it seems like no matter what they do, when they want to buy something, they got to leverage all this, and they got to do all this, finagle this and finagle that. So I'm calling horse shit on all the fucking supposed money these motherfuckers have. Because if it was me and I was worth $600 billion and CBS cost, I don't know, what would CBS cost? 20 billion? Or I have no idea what CBS is worth, but probably the billions of dollars. But to me, it seems like pocket change compared to your overall wealth. I know people say, well, they got it locked up in stocks and bonds and CDs and it's on paper. That's his worth on paper, and the stuff that he owns, the value of these companies. So that means that he is worth $700 billion or whatever it is, $500 billion. That doesn't mean he's liquid. But me, being the dumb, horrible businessman that I am, if I were to have that kind of money, I think I would just keep at all times, 40 or 50 billion liquid. Why? But no, but then you would get laughed at by all of your peers because they all get MBEs. They all not all of them, but they all get they all go to business school. They all know business 101. Like you don't have all liquid money. You invest it and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I just feel like I would always want to have a few billion just liquid laying around, though. But that's why I'm not a billionaire, I guess. So yeah, I think I got. I don't think I really skipped anything because I'm recognizing all of these things here that I've already read. Talking about the radioactive shrimp. DPD 5844 says, or is asking, did anyone see Trump's granddaughter getting in on the grift by selling sweatshirts for $130 while using the White House for advertising? I did not see that. I did not, but I don't doubt it. Catherine Real Health Talk says apparently Agent Orange left his guest room at Windsor Castle a gross mess per castle's staff. He and the wife were in separate rooms. He left fast food garbage, ordered fried chicken, fries at night. He's like a fucking. He acts like a fucking college kid on his first time away from home or something. No disrespect to college kids, but hey, I was in a dorm, or actually, I was in a college campus housing, and it was like a 6 or 7 story, the one I lived in, building with all these rooms in them, like little apartment rooms, and but all they were just it was just a bed and like two single beds and 2 desks. The rooms had no plumbing whatsoever. It was all common bathrooms. Like you walk down the hall, there'd be the bathrooms and showers. It was all this common thing, and so I can tell you that there are college kids. I mean, I don't know. Did this happen at your guys' college? They would literally smear feces on the walls. And I was like, what the fuck? Who are the animals doing this? And I remember complaining one time. There was a lady who was like the custodian lady. She was in there cleaning the bathrooms. And I remember telling her, isn't this disgusting? Who's rubbing the shit all over the walls? This is whoever. And I said, whoever does this should get kicked out or expelled or something. And then she defended them. She actually goes, "Oh, they're just college kids," and I think she did say it's their first time away from home. And I go, they don't have fucking toilets. They didn't have toilet training at home. Who fucking smears their shit all over the walls in college? I mean, anyway, I never saw that anywhere. I never saw that in elementary school. I never saw that in junior high. I never saw that in high school. But at college that I went to, 4-year university, I don't know how many students were doing it. Maybe it was just one. It only takes one, I guess, to make it disgusting. Was smearing their shit on the fucking walls in the bathroom that we all had to use. This was a common thing. It had, it was a big bathroom with stalls and everything, and it had and then shower. That's where we shower. They had showers and everything in there. And I never caught the birds because I thought if I ever catch the motherfucker doing this, I'm going to slam him up against the wall and I'm going to rub his face in that shit. That was back when I was playing football and I could bench press 500 pounds. So I probably would have killed the motherfucker accidentally because I was so, I wouldn't know my own strength. I probably would have slammed his face, into, like, smashed his face or something. Anyhow, Chris Doug says Musk would have to borrow against his shares in Tesla and SpaceX. Yeah. Which I guess he could do. I don't know. Damon Dog says Melania started selling her Christmas ornaments this morning, $90 a piece. What do they look like? Is it like lumps of coal? That's probably what she gets, just lumps of coal, and she just puts a little chain on it and a little hook. This is the Melania Christmas decorations. Buy them now. Be best. Do you care? I don't care. Merry Xmas from Melania. MJ Daniel says there are probably many really wealthy people who just sit on their money and play. People like DJT, Musk, and others need the rush from getting more and more like heroin addicts. And I've used that analogy over the years many, many times that these people where no amount of profit, no amount of money is ever enough. It's never, ever enough. And I've used the heroin addict analogy. And I've always thought, how do you help someone who is a heroin addict and get them off heroin? You take away the heroin. And for people like Musk and DJT and others like that, you gotta take away the money. Roxanne is here, says, I was just relaxing and listening for a bit. Jen told me you were asking about me. That's kind of a mid-thread. That's kind of a mid-thread thing I did. MJ Daniel says, and DJT is also a weak, needy child that must be the center of everything. I think that is even more important than money to him. He is. I think he is very needy. He's, and I know we all have problems. We all have issues, I think. None of us are perfect. But for God's sakes, this is the president of the United States. We need to elect someone who's got their shit a little bit more together. People. So and I know not you guys, but all you maggots and all you people that vote for Trump, and then you say, well, because I've heard people say that, no one's perfect, he's not perfect. And then when they get, biblical about it, they're like, no one is perfect, all have sinned and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't mean that he's a good fit for president. Can we get someone who's not quite so fucked up in the White House? That's all I ask. I ask more than that, though, actually. Minja Daniel says, I worked for the city parks and saw some nasty stuff. I could understand that in the city park. I don't get it in a college dormitory, I guess is what it was. I never thought of it as a dorm, I guess because it was a 6-story building, but it was like dorms because they were just like little college rooms. There was no running water in it, and we had these common bathrooms. I guess you call them that. Is that what you call them? But I could see the city park things because all kinds of shit goes on over there. Community bathrooms. Is that what it is? Catherine Real Talk. It's the issue with community bathrooms. People are gross, and it's one thing to be gross, like okay, you peed on the toilet seat, or whatever. I can see a little bit of that, but this wasn't just someone taking a shit and they wiped their ass and maybe some of it got on the toilet seat or something. I don't know. This was literally someone taking their shit and almost like writing shit on the wall. I don't remember if they actually were words, but it was being smeared all over the walls, inside the stall, and out of the stall, all throughout the whole bathroom. This wasn't just like an accident or someone being gross. This was intentional, gross bullshit. And like I said, if I had ever caught the motherfucker, I would have beat the shit out of him. Anyhow, Petrozzi says sounds like a future MAGA. Nola Carnes says Nola Carnes says Madeline Dean is dogging Frump and his goodies. She has proof there is nothing they can get Comey on. What are they charging him with? I don't even know what they're charging him with. Everyone's got the J6er joke there about the feces smearing person, and I don't know if it was just one person. I don't know. I never found out who did it. I think they would probably go in at when everyone's sleeping for the most part, at 3 or 4 in the morning or something. Robert Perez says I've seen bathrooms in truck stops that had all kinds of shit on the walls. I've been to my share of truck stop bathrooms, and I've seen some that are kind of gross and dirty. But I've never seen anything like that college dorm community bathroom. Never, ever. Nothing as bad as that. Never. And I've been to probably hundreds, if not thousands, of truck stop bathrooms over the 20 years that I was driving. Mr. Spock says, "How does someone become a fecophiliac? Fecophiliac? Oh, Johnny, I said no finger painting on the walls. Okay, whatever." Chris Doug says, "I doubt Musk would allow himself to be that leveraged. He's dumb but not stupid, or is he?" Well, he I guess he posted something about, CBS is woke. They're too woke. All this woke bullshit. And all you got to do is say the word woke, and then all the fucking maggots are like, "Me, yeah, man, I don't like woke. Woke is bad. Don't want the woke channel." They're so easily duped. They're so easily duped. Just make something into a catchphrase like that. And really, if they're anti woke, that means they're anti awareness. In my opinion, they don't want to be aware of it. They like living in their with their blinders on. MJ Daniel says most of the wealthy got that wealth using the American taxpayer infrastructure too, and should pay their share. If they truly wanted America great, they would not hoard their wealth. Catherine Real Health Talk says two types of people voted for him. I guess we're talking about Trump again. One, short-sighted and gullible. That's kind of okay. And two, with psychology as ugly as he is. Yes, Trump was sufficiently racist and bigoted enough for them. Robert Perez says, "Howdy, Roxanne. I'm going through a break in the storm. My grandson is watching TV somewhere else." Laughing out loud. Chris Doug says, "I would like everyone to refer to Governor Gavin Newsom as Shadow President Newsom. Will drive MAGA and Dumpy batshit crazy." Catherine Real Hell Talk, TJ, is it possible a homeless guy got into that bathroom, or did it happen more than once? Oh, it happened all the time. No. This was not a one-time deal. It happened all the time. And I never saw any homeless people on our campus, to tell the truth. There were homeless people in the town, but I never saw any homeless people anywhere near our campus. Yeah, this was not a one-time thing. This was all the time. DPD says, "Oh my God, TJ, where did you go to school? I'm a germaphobe. I would have transferred. I had a roommate in my dorm that left crumbs everywhere. That was it for me. I don't do filthy. It makes me nervous. Yeah, I don't like filthiness either. I went to New Mexico Highlands University, a small school, a small university in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And I've talked about this before. The only two places that I've ever lived, that I took residence at and lived for some period of time. The only two places outside of California that I, like I said, that I lived, took residence at, were both named Las Vegas, and they're not the same city. They're not in the same state. They're in, it's two different cities completely, or towns or whatever. In the one case, so yeah. Yeah, Nola Carnes, it's from, again, trying to get us to get us not to think about Epstein files. You're absolutely right, Nola. This Comey thing, it's all part of the distraction. Trump will do anything and everything. So it just shows you how important, or how guilty he is of how guilty Donald Trump is. The amounts of distractions that he's willing to go to. David Dog says, I watched Martin Bryan at Dachau this morning. Very sad place. I can't imagine the horror that went on there. Seeing the crematorium was startling. I love when Bryan said Nazi fucking plumbing. I haven't seen that, but I remember he did go over there recently. Terry Taylor's here. Hey, Terry Taylor, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in, hanging out with us. Haven't seen Terry in a while. Terry says, hey, TJ in chat. He woke is whack, say the maggots. Yeah, because the maggots, they love being, I guess they love being ignorant. MJ Daniel says, when I was at the parks, somebody put an M80 in the toilet. There was big chunks of it stuck in the opposite wall. Well, I had that happen a few times. I think in junior high. I don't remember ever happening in high school. But I remember, I think a couple of times someone blew up the bathrooms with a fucking M80. They blew up the toilets, as I recall. Chris Doug says Sinclair caved and will run Jimmy Kimmel's show. Oh, they did. Clearly, the ratings book tanked and advertisers were about to pull commercials. Good for him. Thanks, Doug. Because, I guess, like in that opening clip, Jimmy said, we had all these record-setting ratings, even without, I think he said 60. I think that might have been counting Sinclair and Nexstar. Because I remember reading or hearing that Sinclair was 38 channels or stations. So Jimmy might have been combining Sinclair and Nexstar. But that's interesting, Chris Doug. See how the sort of like the power of the purse, that we don't need to violently do anything violent or it's all about the thing. And I was saying this yesterday, and it was before I ever saw that clip. And you saw the clip. If you saw the clip of Texas Paul talking about what to do, about how you peacefully just sit your ass down. I said almost the same things verbatim before I ever even saw that clip, proving that I'm just as good and smart as Texas Paul. Okay? At least in this one instance. I was saying the same goddamn same thing as Texas Paul. And I was beginning to think I was sounding like a crazy man yesterday. And I was trying to bring it home and telling you how this was just an example of how we outnumber the 1%. And if we ever all got together, they would be scared shitless. And that's all you got to do. Like Texas Paul says it, I say it. It's the power of the purse, and we're seeing examples of it with this whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. Very good examples of it. When Disney starts losing their points in the stock market, every point they lose is $1 billion. So we can hit him at the pocketbook. That's how you beat him, and that's why we need a national strike. That's why we need a massive general strike. January 1st. Might as well. Everyone's all hungover anyhow. We could just start it on January 1. I'm telling you, if we did have a massive general strike, I'm saying massive, like tens of millions of people, 100 million people, just all stayed home, didn't go to work, didn't go buy gas, didn't do anything, I really think we would see some progress in getting things done. Let's see here. Catherine Real Hill Talk says Comey. Let me see here. Comey charges. Okay, here's the charges. 1, making false statements to Congress. 2, obstruction of Congress proceeding. Junk charges. So then will the judge even take it? The judge could just throw it out and go, these are baseless. This is you're wasting the time of the court. Could flick it right out. Again, distraction. As Chris Doug says, Epstein. Yep. He wants us to take our eye off the ball. Trump does. He wants us to look anywhere and everywhere except towards the Epstein files. Michael McAdams, Trumpy has never done anything wrong. Search for you. Jimmy's doing the Lord's work. Chris Doug, it's all about the money. It's always all about the money, isn't it? Barbara Nicholas says, Trucker, one of our colleagues, Buffalo, New York or something, hasn't had hot water since semester started. Oh wait. Did I say colleagues? Trucker John, one of our colleges. I don't know why. Okay, I need to go back to college so I can learn how to read. Okay, Trucker John, one of our colleges, I guess in Buffalo, New York, hasn't had hot water since semester started. Portable trailers, people want reimbursement. Yeah, well, that I don't blame them. You're paying a lot of money for tuition. If you're not there on scholarship, you're getting student loans or paying whatever your parents are paying money or whatever. They need to fix the goddamn bathrooms. Absolutely. Chris Doug says Sinclair affiliates were running an additional hour of news. Who's staying up to watch that? Yeah, and there's only so much news you can watch, especially since they probably just are regurgitating and just rerunning all the shit that they already ran at the 11 o'clock hour, If they don't have some new breaking news, then who's going to watch? Lynn says on his island in 2014, talking about Trump, I guess, on Epstein Island or whatever. DPD 5844 says here in Ohio, the Ohio Teamsters have chosen to endorse Vivek Ramaswamy for governor. It is quite shocking. I remember Vivek. He was a disgusting prick. He was that swarmy, because his name was kind of appropriate. He's this swarmy, slimy, greasy little fucking prick. I remember that motherfucker. Who became a billionaire by doing something I think very sketchy in Big Pharma, a Big Pharma sketchy thing that he did. Anyhow, so DPD 5844 says that the Ohio Teamsters, are endorsing Vivek Ramaswamy for governor. It is quite shocking to be a spectator to those who choose to eat themselves from within. Vote for Amy Acton. What is up with these fucking unions? What's going on with these fucking unions? What the fuck is wrong with you motherfuckers? Don't you know that MAGA and the Republicans in general don't like unions, and they would do everything in their power to dismantle unions, to get rid of unions? Do you not realize that, you stupid fucking union dumb fucks in Ohio? Do you not realize that? You are committing basically fucking employment suicide, you stupid shits. Vivek Ramaswamy is not your friend. He's not pro-union. I don't give a fuck what he says. There are no Republicans that are pro-union. And if you're a union that is supporting anybody with the R next to their name, then if you're an officer of that union, an elected, you need to be fucking impeached and removed. This is ridiculous for unions to be supporting these fucking maggots, all because what? The border? Or some fucking shit? Your jobs are protected. What, you're afraid that the immigrants are going to take your jobs? Fuck you. I get so sick and tired of hearing about union people supporting any Republican, let alone Donald Trump, or in this case, Ramaswamy, the fucking grease ball. He's a fucking slime ball. Thanks for telling me about that, DPD, because this needs to go on high alert. The Teamsters, they have Teamsters all over the country. The other Teamsters, or I guess they're all in it. Who was the one that was supporting Trump? It wasn't the auto guy. It was the Teamster guy? You Teamsters, man. I guess what? Because you think you're mobbed up and you guys think you have some mob history. And so, and Trump's, you like him because he likes to pretend that he's a mobster. Is that what it is? Are you guys trying to live some sort of Godfather fantasy? For Christ's sakes. Okay, the AFL-CIO and all the other fucking major unions, I think they need to fucking just start piling on these Teamsters and exposing them for being the fucking frauds that they are. Because if you support Republicans, you are basically supporting your own demise. You're supporting your own demise. Republicans do not want unions. They don't. They've been anti-union for decades and decades, starting with Reagan, at least. They do not like unions. So if you are a union and you are siding with these Republicans, you are essentially going along with your own fucking demise. And for you dipshits that don't know what demise means, it means your own ending. You're ending. Your unions are going to come to an end. Your nice, cushy union jobs with your benefits and your pay packages, your retirement packages, it's all going to fucking come to an end if you keep supporting these fucking Republicans. You stupid dumb fucks. You dipshits. This is what I tried to tell the motherfucker when I was at the Trump rally here in Vegas a little over a year ago. I had a union guy tell me the same fucking thing. He was a union guy, and he told me that Trump likes you. He's voting for Trump because he's good for the union and he's good for the workers. And I told him, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. Donald Trump does not like unions. I told him that he is not your friend. He will do everything he can to get rid of your union. And the guy just shook his head and said I was the idiot. He said I was the moron that didn't know what I was talking about, and that I better get out of here before I get my ass kicked. And there were a bunch of dudes coming around me, and that's when I got out of there before I got my ass kicked, because I'm not the 500-pound bench pressing college football player that I once was. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Like James Comey, Lordy, let there be tapes. Lordy, lordy, lordy. If I was the 500-pound bench pressing football player that I was on that day, I would have kicked the shit out of a bunch of dudes. But I'm old. I'm old and frail now. I'm just looking at the chat, seeing where I left off at. DPD with more good news, saying Corey Mills has introduced a bill that would give Trump full authority to murder anyone without due process. It would be perfectly legal. Mills is a Republican from the 7th District of Florida. I think I heard a little bit of that. I was watching a little bit of Texas Paul this morning, and Texas Paul was going over some of that. And that's just crazy. Fucking crazy. David Dog, unions voted for Trump, and he's trying to end collective bargaining. Not all unions did, but some did. Yeah, and he's trying to end collective bargaining. Do they not even pay attention? They just think, what? Trump is cool because he says, sometimes at his rally, he would say shit. Or fuck, even, I think he said a couple times. Is that what it is? It's like, whoa, he's cool. He's badass, man. Look at him. He doesn't care about it, what anybody thinks. He'll drop an F-bomb every now and then. He'll say shit. Are they that stupid? Are they that simple? Are they that simple-minded? Ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous, man. I was a shop steward when I was at the Postal Service, APWU. And we had, even back then, this is back in the late 80s and through the 90s. And even back then, we had union members that were Republicans. And even then, I shook my head. I would just shake my head and I would say, why are you a Republican? And you're in the union. Oh, because Republicans will lower my taxes. They were some bullshit, you know. So you don't care if the Republicans are going to just try everything they can to get rid of your union. Yeah, but they're good for taxes, and they back then they would say red tape instead of like regulations and something like that. And there's so much red tape, and they cut through the red tape. This is the kind of shit they would say back in the 90s. Chris Doug says these idiots would vote themselves out of a contract and ultimately a job. Yeah, they're total idiots. Chris O'Brien says O'Brien wouldn't endorse Harris. Yeah, O'Brien is the Teamster president, right? And then, but the UAW, the auto workers guy, he did endorse Harris, right? Catherine Real Health Talk says unions think illegals are stealing jobs by being private contractors and doing jobs for cheaper. I heard that recently. Yeah, that's one of the things. That's what I was talking about the wall. You know, they're like, yeah, the wall, man. We're gonna close the borders, man. David Dog says, I was a Teamster at UPS, worked part-time while in college, made $50 an hour back in the 80s. Yeah, see, the nice union job, nice wage. Chris Doug says the neocons did all they could to destroy organized labor. It's been a battle. The whole labor movement, it's been a war. People have died for labor rights. People have died. People have made the ultimate sacrifice. Going back into the 20s and the 30s, it was a literal fucking war. Starch Manning, a $5 super chat. Thank you, Starch Manning. Yippee! Says Stephen Miller, Pee Wee German. I'll give you that thumbs up and that heart. Thank you so much, Starch Manning. I appreciate you for contributing to the show, helping support the show. I appreciate you so much. MJ Daniel, conservatives have wanted to kill unions as long as they have existed. Nola Karn says, I've had my share of union people picketing in front of my workshop, and I couldn't have series, and I couldn't have something pickup loads to go in or out. I couldn't have series pickup loads that are in and out. Yeah, well, so do you hate unions now because of that? Barbara Nicholas says, IBEW here, Teamsters retired. Maybe you should get a hold of some of your old Teamster buddies and find out, like, what the hell is going on with these other Teamster dudes in Ohio? Why are they backing a fucking slimeball Republican? They need to be called out. These unions that are supporting Republicans, they need to be called out. Terry Taylor says, so sad, TJ. They just can't admit they've been fucked. Their whole world would collapse. Utterly pathetic. Yeah, that is a thing. Admitting that you're wrong can be hard. But you know what? At some point, you got to be an adult. You know, be a fucking adult. Adult up. I was gonna say man up, but it's men, it's women. You know, adult up. You know, swallow your pride a little bit instead of just continuing with this bullshit. At some point, you gotta stop. It's gotta stop. So you got to adult up and go, you know what? I was wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. You could say some shit, whatever, to try to, not paint yourself so bad or whatever. But, just say, I don't know what I was thinking, man. But now I see the light. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, I realize, I agree that people don't want to admit when they were wrong. But we're talking about saving our fucking democracy, saving our country. This isn't just about some little spat you had with somebody. This is fucking for our country, man. This is to keep us from being taken over by a dictator. This is to keep us from becoming a fucking Nazi nation. Now, a lot of these fucking Teamsters might be Nazis. I'm not saying every Teamster is, Damon Dog. Don't come at me with that. I'm just saying that, there's obviously, like, even when I had Republicans in my APWU, I'm not saying they were Nazis, but definitely a whole different mindset than me. I've been a Democrat my whole life. I've been a liberal my whole life. But it just, to me, it just seems, it just doesn't add up. Okay, so what? You're a conservative and you're a Republican, and you are in a union that you presumably are enjoying the benefits of said union. You are certainly reaping the benefits. Most union jobs, your wages are higher, your benefits are better, your retirement is better, your health coverage is better, all that shit. Your working conditions. You have representation, not only in your collective bargaining, but in your everyday work life. You have representation, and if you get disciplined with something or charged with something, you have union representation to be there with you, to fight for you. I did it lots of times. I was a union rep, and I was pretty good at my job. I saved a lot of jobs. I got things knocked down from termination down to suspensions, and I got suspensions knocked down from suspensions down to just a written warning, and I got things from written warnings knocked down to verbal warnings. I did a good fucking job. That's what unions do. They protect the workers. People like Donald Trump, they don't like that because they don't want to have any just cause. They don't believe in just cause. They want to be able to fire people just for any goddamn reason. And speaking of that, I understand that with this government shutdown, there's supposed to be massive firings going on. How is that going to help the economy? How is that when Donald Trump says the economy is great? How can those things add up? Catherine Hill, is Jimmy Hoffa Jr. still in the union? I don't know. But I don't know. David Dog says, my dad was a shop steward for AFL-CIO at Western Electric for 30 years. That's awesome. Chris Doug says, some ignorant union members believe Trump is going to create jobs. They don't realize those jobs won't be union jobs. No, they're going to be shitty fucking $5 an hour jobs with no benefits. And if you don't give me a blowjob, you're fired type of thing. Sorry to get so crude all of a sudden. Let's get the crooks out of the union. Let's call them out. When we see crooks in the union, let's fucking call them out and get them out. They're not good for the union. Yeah, David, middle class has declined since Reagan. Absolutely, 100%. It's been proven. Stagflation. When you account for inflation, our wages actually went down. Until Biden, I think. David Dog, I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. Yeah, Jolie says we got channel memberships. Thank you so much for that reminder. Channel memberships starting at only $1.99 a month, guys. It's a great way to support the show for $1.99 a month. What else can you get for $1.99 a month? I can't think of anything that is of this quality. And there's PayPal. There's Buy Me Coffee. Thank you for putting that up there, Jolie. David Dog, Chris Doug says Dems on the Oversight Committee just released the names Musk, Thiel, and Bannon from the Epstein files. Wow. What are they doing? What are they doing? They could release those? They can do that? Are they just teasing Trump? They're like, okay, here's Musk, here's Thiel, here's Bannon. Are they just fucking with Trump now? They're like, we're getting close. We're getting close, aren't we, Trump? We're getting closer to your name. Jolie says, I've never seen a Dim say "told you so" when someone comes to our side. Only welcome. We will take you with open arms if you're willing to admit the errors of your way, and we're just glad that the veil is finally lifted and the light bulb popped on. We're just happy for that. Danny Pomeroy says, "What? I'm a retired Teamster, 31 years, making America and others very wealthy, and others real." And Danny, I'm not saying. Look, I'm pro-union, and I'm not saying all Teamsters are crooks or bad, but I think these ones that are endorsing this union, I don't know if that was a local or if that was the state for the state or what, but if they're endorsing Viva Swarmy, then that is wrong of them to do that, and they need to be called out by the national. Well, I guess like I say, the national is a maggot too. So I mean, you guys have a problem. People who in Teamsters need to stand up against the leadership. If I mean, this is horrible to have a huge union like the Teamsters being supporting MAGA. This is very horrible, I think. No, Carl says, okay, Trucker Sean, I meant, I guess, semis. You're trying to say semis, like semi trucks, like 18-wheelers? I wasn't mad, just went to post 44 and got drunk. Lynn says, Postal Union was great at getting workers back pay. Yeah, the Postal Union is, I think do a pretty good job. I mean, they have the, I guess, the handicap of not being able to actually strike. Legally not allowed to strike. But so that, we don't have that tool in our arsenal. I haven't been in that union in almost 30 years. So, but you know what I mean. Danny Pomeroy says the president of my local has a retirement home next to Santiago, California. I don't know, where is Santiago. I'm a native Californian. I don't know where Santiago is. Maybe it's San Diego. Is that sort of like the Anchorman? Like, was that an Anchorman reference that I totally missed? Maybe. DPD 5844 says some individuals despise the left so much that they refuse to see that they are inflicting pain amongst themselves. When karma comes around, they blame marginalized communities not seeing themselves. And I think, speaking of karma, I wanted to find one time, one of my Facebook friends, I think, and it's probably a popular, I guess we would call it a meme. I just look at it as being an illustration or like a cartoon. But he posted a thing about karma, like it explains karma. And basically, it's like you do something, and I guess it's kind of like a domino effect where it just comes right back around and it hits you in the ass. And I'm thinking all these things that like Doge is doing and MAGA and doing, they don't see how this is bad karma, and all this shit is going to come right around. And it unfortunately, it's not only biting them in the ass or kicking them in the ass; it's biting us, all of us, in the ass. Damon Dog, I'm calling HR. Danny Pomeroy, I'll say that the local voted more red than blue. See, it's stupid. I mean, Danny, I don't mean to. I'm not saying you're stupid or Damon Dog is stupid or anything like that. But I mean, and I think you agree with me, for union people to vote for Republicans, you're just voting against your own best interest. This is the whole thing. We always say this. Why do these people not just union, but in general. Why do maggots or Republicans in general, when they're voting, because most people are middle class or poor or lower middle class, a lot of voters are, and if they're voting for Republicans, you're just voting against your own best interest. The Republicans are not going to do anything for you. They're not going to help you. They're not going to help you either with immediate help with food and shelter, and they're not going to help you long range. They're not going to help you get training, help you with education, and help build skills for that are marketable skills. They're not going to do any of that shit. And yet they vote against their own best interest all the time. Oh man. Okay, we're over 2 hours. Guess we should probably end the show here pretty quick. DPD 5844 TJ. The layoffs are courtesy of Russ Vought. This is his contribution to Project 2025. Think about that. Project 2025 is almost completed, which is shocking in itself. And yeah, and I posted stuff on the intro. Some of that stuff was made before the election, like a year ago. And I'm just thinking, why didn't people listen? People weren't getting the message. People didn't get the message. There were people trying to warn. There was that guy. I don't even know who that guy was. And that one intro where he was talking about basically the military stuff. But that's all part of Project 2025. People didn't listen. Danny Pomeroy says that will never happen. Our local sheriff's department is same union, just different local numbers. Yeah, and these police unions really aren't unions. I mean, they are. I kind of look at police unions as being basically just, the thin blue line and just getting protections so that they won't be held liable for killing people. Maybe that's not fair, but there's a lot of good cops. I probably just offended everybody in here who is related to a cop. There's a lot of good cops, but a lot of the police, I don't think, do they call them unions? Police guilds or whatever, I don't know. I'm sure they have pay packages and benefit packages, but they seem to be more concerned about liabilities and being able to get away with shooting people. Maybe that's overly simplistic of me, and I don't want to offend cops. Lynn says my husband is a retired postal clerk. Awesome. Damon Dog, I am stupid. It's true. No, you are not, Damon Dog. I'm not accusing you or anyone of being stupid. But there are stupid people, or people that are acting stupid in that they are voting against their own best interests in the long run. Maybe they don't see it right now, or maybe because they're not feeling it right now. But we're getting there. We're getting there. God bless everyone. Everyone's saying God bless. Danny Pomeroy says we are guaranteed pay raises. We went out on a strike in 1980. After 14 weeks, we got a 10-cent increase with around 3% raise, yearly starting pay $29.50. Wow. 14 weeks to get a 10-cent raise. But 3% yearly, that's probably the main thing there. I know, and I loved my union with the post office. I loved getting we got colas, we got step increases. All of that thanks to the union. Because when I first got hired in 1988, my base salary was even for 1988 was probably considered low. I think it was only like 23,000 a year. But then, you get these step increases and you built in colas and a step increase because it's just after every so many months you are you go another step higher in the pay scale, and it's like a few months there and a few months there and a few months here, and then plus there's some colas in there. So within 3 years, I think within 3 years, just my base salary, I want to say it went from about 23 something to about $30,000 within about 3 years. That's just the base salary. That's not including overtime. That's not including holiday pay. So I mean, unions are great, but Ronald Reagan was no fan of unions. He would have loved to have gotten rid of the APWU. He would have loved to have gotten rid of the carrier unit, the carrier union, the carrier. What were they? The National Carriers Union. I should know my brother union, but the carriers had a separate union than the like the clerks and stuff. Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush, they would love nothing more than to get rid of those unions. And yet we had people that I worked with that voted for those motherfuckers. I just saw someone walk by. All right, guys. Union strong. I hope I haven't offended anyone. Sometimes I say things and I don't, and people take it. I think people might take it the wrong way. I'm not painting. I'm not saying all union members are bad. Obviously, I'm pro union. I'm a former union shop steward. But I'm saying that when unions back someone like a Donald Trump or a Vivek Ramaswamy, it just leaves you shaking your head, thinking, "What the hell are you guys thinking? What are you thinking?" They can close the border all they want. They still don't like, these maggots and Trump. They don't like unions. They would just as soon that all the unions were just eliminated. All right, guys. That's it for today, though. What day is today's Friday? So tomorrow is Saturday. Tomorrow we'll be on right after House Sparks. So about 11 a.m. I'll be coming back on, and we can hang out once again. We can do this again. I saw some new faces in here. Thanks for coming in, all the new people. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Share the show. Get us out there. We are at over 4,070 subscribers. We just hit 4,000 a couple weeks ago, so here we are approaching 4,100. So thank you guys so much for the support, for all the likes, the subscribing, the sharing. Thank you for the super chats. We got 2 out of 5 today. So thank you for that. I guess I should read the names. I can read the names. They have a little filter here where I can go to the fan funding. We had Fancy with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Fancy. Yippee. And we had Starch Manning with a $5 super chat. Yippee. And then, look, you guys get extra yippies. So we had those two, folks. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at this little thing here. I don't know. Let me go back to the chat. Yeah, Chris Doug, Reagan administration killed Patco. Yeah, that was the air traffic controllers. That was kind of the big start of it. when he did that, I was like, oh shit. But and that was way before I was in the union. I was still in college then. But all right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And I'm trying to get this little graphic to come up so I can say thank you so much. Look at there. I'm right next to the little heart. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I just want to say thanks real quick. Yeah, and I am in the National Cookie Union. That's right, Cookie 3854. Yeah, that's right. Cookies unite. We're not going to cut our noses off to spite our face. Wait, I don't have a nose. Looks like. Who didn't put the nose on me? Huh? Well, anyhow, I am noseless. But anyhow, yeah, go Union. Just remember, without unions, you wouldn't have Sundays off. Or whatever. Whatever they say. It's a little different for us cookies, but, you know, we do get Sundays off, at least, in our union, the Cookie Union. The Cookie Union of America. That's right. I strongly suggest if you are a cookie, I suggest that you get into the Cookie Union. It reduces your chances of getting prematurely eaten, basically. In a nutshell. Like I said, our unions are a little different than the human ones, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not officially in any like purple beard union. Not officially, but unofficially, I kind of am in a purple beard club. There's a club. We meet every third Wednesday of the month, and we talk about how people kind of discriminate against us because this is not a dye job, folks. This is natural. This is all natural. And there are you'd be surprised how many of us there are. There's quite a few of us with the purple beards. And you know, we all have kind of the same story. You know, the hate, the prejudging. It's like, oh, look at, there's the purple beard guy. So we don't really have like a union per se, but we do have some support groups. And sometimes that's just as good, I suppose. Now, we don't get any special pay or anything like that, or holiday pay. There's no step increases, but at least we can share each other's stories and have some good fellowship, you know, and support. We do support each other, and that's really what it's all about. And we all need to have support. All of our groups, you know, the cookie group, the purple beard group, the old man yelling group. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Chugger John. But anyhow, just thought I'd put my 2 cents worth in. Again, guys, thanks so much for being here, and I appreciate you. See you tomorrow. All right, those guys, yeah, that's fine. You guys are fine. You know, you guys remember just to subscribe and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and then tell everyone in the world that you know to come over here and subscribe. That would be great if you could do that. So all that we have left to do is basically the words of the wisdoms. So at this point here, get your pen and paper out and get ready to write this down. It's really that good that you're going to want to write it down. These are keepers. It's what I call a keeper. So are you ready? All right. So just remember, today, number 1 on the list is to...
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So high of Easter, baby, the show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid, but doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food and movies and bugs, shining a light on all the social issues. No shrugs, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. In my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. So you want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love, it's all about the thrills. It's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. So damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.
Show's over. I'm out of here, folks. Bye.